someone is an addict, affairs, alcohol, all these things, you can never be responsible for someone else's behavior. Okay. So the trap is you finding yourself responsible for his actions. Well, you weren't loving enough. There wasn't enough sex. You didn't cook enough meals. You weren't kind enough. You weren't generous, whatever. And so therefore it justifies his behavior. Never true. If he's behaving in a certain way, he is 100% responsible for that behavior. But there's a spiritual teaching and undertow within the church that says women are responsible for making their husbands happy. And if they don't, then their husbands are justified in their behavior because you failed as a wife by not having enough sex, cooking enough meals, or whatever. That's a real teaching, but it's a lie, in my opinion. Men are not more important than women, and you are never responsible for someone else's happiness. That's a trap. So if your husband's clearly an addict, I would say that there's no way you could ever have an intimacy with him just because he's an addict. We have a saying in recovery that addicts don't have relationships, they take hostages. You can't have a relationship with an addict because if someone's actively addicted, that very process makes them 100% self-centered. They will run you over the bus, back up, run you over again, and then blame you because their addiction is in control, not the person. So in that case, you living in the truth of he was harmful and addicted and betrayed you is way more painful than you seeing yourself as the problem. So you could go back to the narrative that blames you instead of the narrative that says, no, he's been horrific to you and used you and harmed you. Which one is easier to deal with? Blaming myself. So I want you to, instead of ping-ponging, I want you to keep leaning into the grief of he's been terrible. He's been a horrible person. He's harmed you greatly. He doesn't care. Those are the facts based on his behavior. And as you go through that grief, that's what will eliminate the ping pong. The ping pong is you trying to avoid the grief. Some things are habitual, which are different than addicted. Like addicted indicates a loss of control, right? So someone who struggles with control is different than someone who's lost control, right? So I've talked to thousands of people that are what I would call problem drinkers, let's say.
Yeah.
They're not addicted. They don't lose their job, but occasionally they go too far and it creates problems for them. Okay. But they can control it, right? There's other people who cross that line of addiction. They don't have any control. They're going to do the thing that they're going to do, and then they're going to just deal with the consequences. So, one of the key components of somebody who's an addict is they continue to do this thing, whatever it is, despite negative or adverse consequences. You get one DUI, you're like, okay, I got to get a grip, right? No one ever got a DUI and thought, oh, this is illegal. As no one did it because they didn't know. They did it because they denied reality, right? So good denial is required for us to be out of control and have an addiction. And so that's the thing that's different, is that the person is struggling with it and they know about it and they're able to articulate it. That's different than somebody who's denying, rationalizing, minimizing, justifying, and avoiding. Those are a couple of ways you can see if every time their behavior is confronted, they rationalize it or justify it. Well, that's a sign there's a problem. So addiction is fueled by denial. You can't do regular harm to yourself and be in touch with that reality and keep doing it.